Hey everyone, Ethan here. I thought it might be a fun and interesting idea to take a little while and flip through my philosophical coffee table book that I put out a couple months ago. 17 Ideas That Changed My Life, a brief exploration of ideas, awareness, and our lens on life. And just kind of do an audio version of it in a way, not reading it, but just talking about it. Um, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I was just cooking dinner and listening to one, and I like a good, um, audio file every once in a while, as well as reading. And I thought, why not make it a multimedia thing with a little video here? So I figured I'd walk through and kind of talk about each of these ideas and how it came to be in my lens on life, and what I feel the benefits of kind of seeing through that idea are. And yeah, thought it'd be an interesting exploration. So figured we'd take a flip through the 17 quickly here and give you something to chew on at the turn of the year here. Yeah. There is a quote at the front of the book that I should read. It's from The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Goes, "Because my eyes are not yet accustomed to the desert," the boy said, "I can see things that eyes habituated to the desert might not see." It's from The Alchemist. And yeah, on the intro page here, seeing your lens on life. And yeah, the intro is well, let me read you another quote from the intro, actually. It's from Robert Pirsig, author of Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, which is one of my favorites from that book. It's we take a handful of sand from the endless landscape of awareness around us, and we call that handful of sand the world. And yeah, I think these 17 ideas are perhaps more interesting to someone other than myself because they are mine. Maybe they're more comfortable for me, but they might provide more insight to somebody else because this is the way they're the ideas in my lens. They're the handful of sand that I habitually grasp and call the world. And you probably grasp a different handful of sand and call that the world. And so, yeah, in a way, this is a look through my handful of sand, and maybe you want some of those grains, and maybe you don't want some of those other grains, but you can pick and choose. So it's kind of what the first section is about. The intro is about. The first idea is memento mori. That is, remember death in Latin. And it's a very important idea to me. More than an idea, I guess it's an experience. I was 16 years old. It's thought that I got bit by a mosquito. I got a sort of viral infection of the fluid surrounding my brain and spine. And that compressed my brain. I had all these seizures. I was in a coma for 4 days. I had brain damage from it to the speech and motor output centers of my brain that took a year or two to recover from. It was very awkward. And in that year or two, I was reminded over and over by the stumbles in my speech and inability to do certain things, just general jumbledness, how close I had come to almost dying. And I was 16, and that had a profound effect on me. Death had a profound effect on me. Getting that close to it shook me, and I realized that I'm not guaranteed anything other than this moment. The next one really may not come. And damn, I have known that for a lot of my life since. It's, I'm 33 now. So that was, 16 years ago, I think, 17 years ago. And I still feel that quite a bit, but I'd say it was white hot of a realization for much of my life that it ended up me going in ways that allowed me to make moves that were authentic to myself and become uh, who I wanted to be rather than what was expected of me. And I think that death is a very powerful aid in that way, that if you remember that all this is going to end at some point in not that long of a time, you're kind of free to do what heart desires, and and to more fully do everything, and to worry a bit less. And there's a there's some deep, heavy, beautiful benefits to contemplating your mortality, to memento mori, to remembering death, and yeah, that's one to chew on. I often chew on. Number two, static versus dynamic quality. This is also from Zen, the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It's a very foundational book to my life, and one of the first real philosophical works I ever read, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. It's a great one. Very boring at the beginning, very profound at the end. You have to make it through the first 100 pages. You can do it. But yeah, static versus dynamic quality is this idea that we have these static qualities, like the patterns we use to arrive at quality. Like, I know if I go for a walk in the morning, I'll feel better the rest of the day. So I go for a little walk. Any sort of repeatable thing that we do to get to a good place. That's like static quality. Dynamic quality, on the other hand, is just simply the best, the highest quality thing in the moment. And the moment is change. And because the moment is change, everything is changing in the moment. What we statically do, the patterns we use to get to quality, degrade over time. There's a dynamic quality that is the best, that is right now. And I think maybe you could take an example of like Jesus as like the original teacher of these beautiful teachings and ideas, and maybe the static patterns that he used 2,000 years ago, maybe some of them aren't perfect today, or maybe that's maybe you pick another teacher or another way of like, if your static pattern was to drive your ox cart to work every day or something, like, it would no longer work. So there's this tension all the time between the patterns that we've developed to get to a quality place and what is actually now best in the moment. And you simultaneously need the static patterns and the dynamic quality. The dynamic is what is best. And there's this tension and dance between those two things in life. And sometimes we have to let our patterns go that we've developed in order to better adapt to what now is in the moment. And static and dynamic quality allow for a very just kind of objective way to, and less emotional way to view the patterns we have and the patterns the world has, and what is best in the moment, and the dance between the two. It's one of the most helpful things, I think, most helpful concepts I've ever come across, because it applies to literally everything, especially the longer you live. Number 3 is walk to understand the world. This is a profound one that I think almost nobody understands, especially today. I know it because I see them walking around with headphones on and staring at a phone. There is something about walking through the world or, I go for, I'd say jogging, is good. Maybe riding a bicycle. I think a bicycle is a little too fast to really see and grasp things. Like, if you like walk, like go for like a walk through, like just wherever you are, a suburban place, a rural place, whatever, you understand it better, because you experience it. When you get ideas like this through your, if you're listening on headphones or a speaker or whatever, like they're like helpful pointers, but they are, again, they're static pointers, going back to the last idea, but they're also just, it's not the real thing. They're like derived from the real thing. And you have to go to the source, the root, the base of experience and reality, I think, to experience it. And thus, by experiencing it, understand it better. And I think walking is one of the best ways to do that. And I like to walk far. I like to, during COVID, I remember my brother and I used to walk we used to walk a couple of times to like McDonald's at like, 8 miles round trip for like 3.5 hours or something to walk there and back. And it was wonderful. And it was just you just see things and feel them as they are, and you get a sense for things as they are and not through any intermediary. And there's more to that than I think almost, than most people realize today, because everything feeds through that intermediary. The fourth idea is get good ideas from great books. There's a lot of intermediaries through which you can get your ideas. I think it's best to get them direct, but I also think it's best to get them distilled, or it's great to get them distilled and potent. And I think the most distilled and potent and still very trustworthy source of ideas that you may really want to live and base your life on, and you can really grasp in a deep way, is like great books. And when I say great books, I mean like generally, like I don't trust a lot of books that were written in the last 10 years or something. Like it's a good test of time to like books that are 100 years old, that are 70 years old, that are 1,000, 2,000 years old. They've stood the test of time, and everything else has been washed away except those things, for the most part. Like, what if culture is left over from like the 1840s? Like, very, very small amount, sub 1% for sure. And those things that have lasted are like diamonds, like that were like left over, in the rough. And you can read these books and you can read these great books and get these great ideas in the most, impactful and profound ways. And, I think that's a good mixture, to be walking out in the world and get your experience direct and slow and based in reality, and also to get it distilled and powerfully hit you like lightning through some of the best books that were ever written. So yeah, read good books. Number 5, follow curiosity to find your interests. This is an idea I've read or heard in a lot of different places from a lot of different people, said in a lot of different ways. Elizabeth Gilbert has, I can't remember her line about. She's definitely has something about curiosity, and it not being like Charlton Heston in a robe, but like coming and tapping on your shoulder and like, what's that? And the curiosity. And then John Frusciante, my favorite guitarist from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, has this incredible just talk on YouTube. If you Google John Frusciante creativity, you can find it. And he talks about interest. And I think I have the quote here. Yeah, it's from John Frusciante in that interview. If you don't follow the interests inside you that compel you to do things, your life will gradually just lose meaning until you're old. Let me read that again. If you don't follow the interests inside you that compel you to do things, your life will just gradually lose meaning till you're old. That's like so profound of an idea and so simple. It almost sneaks up on you. Like if you don't engage the things that you're interested in your life, you don't move towards them. It's like I'm interested in this over here, but expectation or some other force, top down force on you that's not where your interest lies convinces you to go in the other direction. Your life becomes less interesting. If you have a choice between, my hands left and right, like my interest is over here on the left, and what I'm supposed to do is over here on the right, and I keep choosing right, right, I'm going to build myself into a life that's not interesting because I made all these choices away from interest. And a curiosity is a means of finding your interests. If you don't know what your interests are, curiosity is like a spark that leads to the fire of interest. So if your interests aren't obvious, you can use curiosity to find those sparks and build your little fire, and then choose to tend it and can have an interesting life. And if you want to be an interesting person, you just do interesting things, and that shouldn't be the reason to do it either. But it could be a good reason to start. And yeah, interesting. It's all entangled together and worth taking that left turn for. Number 6, freedom means living by your own rules. I think I have the sense that some people see me as kind of like freewheeling and not having rules, being kind of a little footloose and traveling, living out of a backpack, doing like not having a lot of responsibilities for a long time in my life, or things that I chose. But there were very strict rules the whole time I did those things. I'll go into the next couple ideas are actually about those rules. So I won't go to them specifically now, but in order to be free, you basically have to, you have to have rules that hold you to sort of like a higher standard than what your environment does. Like it's just like a simple one would be, like your bank account. And I'm going to go into this in the radical thrift idea coming up. But if if your paycheck is $1,000 and you spend the whole paycheck, like you're no longer, you don't have freedom because you spent it all. But if you saved, 80% of your paycheck or 50% of your paycheck and didn't spend it on anything, then you'd still have that freedom. So that space between kind of like what you're able to get away with and what you kind of like hold yourself to above getting away with, that space is freedom in my mind. And I've used a lot of rules when it comes to electronics and kind of like like TV and social media or money or my body in particular. Those are the next 3 ideas coming up to create that glorious like a free range freedom where it counts most. And that's important if you want to build if you want to follow your interests. Going back to the other, you need rules that keep your ability to turn towards the interest instead of obligation, and to create a little space so that you can turn towards the things that you love. Next one, TV or 10 years. This is, I had to, let's credit my my sister Haley for this one. Back in 2016, she's like in student government and went to this conference, and she came back and she's like, man, this guy spoke at the conference, and he was saying that the average person spends 10 years of their life watching TV. And the statement just caught me so, it just like shocked me. It was like, the average person spends 10 years watching TV. And I like Googled it, and it's true that there was a study done by like the government. I found it, and this was in 2016. Maybe the study was in 2014. The average American was spending 9.8 years of their life watching TV in 2014, and that just shocked me. I was like, oh my God, like 10 years of maybe you live 80 years. Like I could have, like the average person works, I think 10.2 years, and the average person is watching TV 9.8 years. So I could basically have a whole second, like the amount of you work your entire life. If you just swore off TV, you could just have all that time to do whatever you wanted if you didn't give it to TV. And you just have to just let go of TV, and you can have anything with that time. And I just like saw that. It was just struck me like lightning. I was like, my God, I'm not going to watch TV so I can have that time. And I feel like I've cashed that chip in really hard over the last man. That was 2016. I was in Mexico, so we're approaching 10 years. It was about 9.5 years ago that I realized that, and I've been basically not watching TV since. I probably watch I'd say I watch maybe like between like 8 and 12 movies a year on average since then. And, maybe I watch 2 or 3 hours of TV in a year or something with other people, but I really don't watch TV shows at all. And I don't watch news. I don't really watch videos on YouTube, like unless I'm like trying to learn something. Because I want that time. I can do whatever I want with it. I can travel. I can record this video. I can read books. I can exercise. I can follow my interests. I can go on long walks. And everything's just more interesting and rich. And I feel like than TV is going to make your life. And that just keeps compounding in my life. And it's one of the best ideas that ever struck me, I think. So TV or 10 years. Number 8, radical thrift. We live in a society that really values money, that really values material things that show that you have money. You can think about like birds building a nice nest. It's like, it's the same thing, and it runs deep in us, like runs deep in life, to want to, and for tribal beings to want to flaunt their status and things. So, you can spend a lot of, you can make a lot of money and spend a lot of money, and you can have those like status symbols and stuff. But in lieu of those status symbols, I think I wanted like more real riches rather than, fancy things I could adorn my body with or drive around that make lots of noise, so that people would like me. I just felt like it might be better to cultivate the inner riches, and have rich experiences, and get rich in a way that's more than surface deep in some way. And I feel I've done that a good bit, but we are not here to judge. But yeah, how did I do that? I didn't spend the money. And I think from 22 to 27 years old, I spent $40,000 over those 5 years, total on everything. I lived on $8,000 a year. That is less than most people's rent. and that was like my total expenditure for average over 5 years. And that allowed me to travel for the majority of the year, to crush books, and have all these wild experiences, and to work really cool jobs. Like I worked on a cruise ship, and I ran this fabulous lodge next to Yellowstone National Park that Ernest Hemingway used to drink. And I ran my own bar there, and it was like this like unbelievable 3 year seasonal job I did during that stretch as well. And all of that was possible. All those rich experiences were possible and or enjoyed thoroughly because I didn't spend the money I made. I just really tried to keep things to the minimal, and it gave me a lot of freedom. So I think that's like, if you're like a young person looking for your way in the world, like the worst thing you can do is like spend yourself into a corner where you have to, you know, it comes back to like, you could choose that interest, or you could choose, or you might have to go with what you're obligated to do. And the less money you spend, the more you can choose your interest, or whatever your most, the highest quality thing, rather than what you're obligated to do. So radical thrift felt like a very important idea in my life. Idea number 9, use it or lose it. Adorned with a sweet shirtless photo of me. Trying not to be too egoic about it. Yes, use it or lose it. I have a degree in biomedical science and chemistry. I was going to become a doctor for some good reasons with all of my medical history, and some high status reasons. In college, I thought, it'd be successful and my life would be just probably guaranteed good if I became a doctor. So I was like really moving towards that, and really high grades in it. And it was the last semester, the last day of anatomy class, and my professor at Northern Arizona University, Robert Keller, he said to everybody, I got the quote here. It was, listen, like he stopped the class. He stopped everyone and like before the final. And he's like, look, I want your undivided attention for like 30 seconds. Like you need to remember this. Ready? Listen, unless you go to work with like all this information regularly, over time, you're going to forget almost everything you learned this year. And that's fine. If you go on to do something else, you can forget all this anatomy, but there's one thing, a single phrase I want you to remember. Use it or lose it. And use it or lose it meant that your body is this fantastic adaptation machine, and is made to conform to an infinite array of conditions, to adapt to them, to go on living. And basically, if you continue using a function and an adaptation of your body, your body will just keep doing it. And if you don't use it, your body will just stop using that range of motion, that strength, that function. If you don't use it, it'll just kind of absorb it and go away, because it is intelligently giving energy and resources and nutrients, your body is, to the things that it need that need them. So it's not going to allocate the resources to being a strong if you're not if you don't need strength, and if you don't and if you don't use your range of motion, you're not going to have it, because your body, you're just signaling to your body that doesn't need it, basically. And that hit me really hard. Like that was the only thing that mattered to this guy. It's like, you can forget all the anatomy you learned the whole year, but just remember that. There's also a story in here about, I met a guy that was over 90 years old doing pull-ups at the YMCA. My grandma took me to, and I asked him how he's still doing pull-ups over 90. Most people can't walk or are dead. And and he's just said, I never stopped. And it was the same thing. So yeah, that idea is near and dear to me. I try to use my body every day. I went for like a 6 mile run, a nice slow 6 mile run at sunset a couple hours ago. Was lifting weights, took a sauna in the gym yesterday. I ran sprints in a park in the grass barefoot the day before that. Every day I try to move in different ways and use my body because I enjoy having this thing and I don't want to lose it. So I use it. Idea number 10, when to say yes or no. This is a little story about one of my favorite people in the world. His name's Alex Shamil, and he met him on the Big Island of Hawaii, and he said yes to everything the entire summer. We were woofing on a farm, and he said yes to someone in class to coming to. Oh, maybe you should go to Hawaii for summer. Oh, why not? Yes, I'll go. And getting to he applied, got to woof on this farm, and he shows up and. Like, well, there's a treehouse, but and I was already there, and I didn't take the treehouse because I was like, I don't know if I want to climb that every day. Oh, is it practical? And they're like, well, that treehouse is there if you want it. And it's like, wow, that looks magical. Yes. And he just started saying yes and yes to things, and it eventually became kind of a joke, and then it became serious, and he made like a vow to say yes to everything the entire summer. So he became a yes man. Like the movie. And we went on all these wild adventures and things. We were hitchhiking all over the island, and we're living on extreme budgets, and it just like we just had so many unbelievable, stranger than fiction, wild experiences because of the word yes. And I realized Alex helped me realize that yes is it's like a sail for catching the currents of the universe. And because it's not coming from you. When you say yes, you let the environment, it's like a sail. It's like catching the wind and riding on it. Like whatever's blowing through, when you say yes, you're going to catch it, and it's going to take you with it if you're open to it by saying yes. So yes is a sail for catching the universal currents. And throughout a lot of like travel and wander years, yes was a wonderful sail to just innumerable beautiful experiences. And while I was out on those adventures, I started running into like authors I really liked, like Mark Manson and Derek Sivers. They both like popularized these big articles maybe 10 years ago or something, 8 years ago, where there were hell yes or no and fuck yes or no. And it was basically about if you don't feel a strong pull to do something, that you should say no to it. And I'm like, man, I'm saying yes to everything. What are they talking about? And but they were protecting something by being with hell yes or no. That starts coming about when you're not just looking for new experiences. Like if you have good things, you want to invest in those good things. So they were developing the hell yes or no strategy. And then there's a Stephen Pressfield who wrote The War of Art, another one of my favorite authors, and a great book, great short book. He wrote this post on his blog, like maybe a year after seeing those guys say, and it was just like say no, and it was about saying no to everything. And so here I am. I'm like, I got the yes man. I got Derek was saying yes. I got Derek Sivers and Mark Manson saying hell yes or fuck yes or no, and then I got Stephen Pressfield saying no. And I like adore and and idolize in a way all these people who are all saying opposite things. And I'm like, what? Like, what, how does this make any sense? And And so I wrote an article about it a couple of years ago because I sat down to think about it and started writing and like, how does this fit together? And I realized that everyone was just giving the best advice for people that were in for the place they were in. For a 21-year-old yes man, 21-year-old dude on an island in Hawaii for 3 months, yes is the answer. For bloggers that are, up and coming and, in love with their work and, hitting it big, they're like saying no to almost everything except anything that they're feeling like hell yeah about. And then for someone that has, just found something they love, like Stephen Pressfield, who's just a writer at heart, and he just says no to everything else except his writing for the most part. He lets a couple other things in, but he's mostly saying no so that he can give a big ass yes to what he loves the most. And those people are just at different places in their life, or they require different openness to opportunity. So this is very useful. You can sort of like default or pre-select like what your kind of response to opportunity should be based on where you're at in your life. If you just have a little powwow session with yourself and go like, where am I right now? Should I have a yes orientation towards things? Like if you need more, if you want more interesting things to happen in your life, if you're bored, if you don't like where you're at, you should be more open to the world and saying yes. And on the other end of the spectrum, if you love what's going on, if you're enamored with your work, if you don't want anything to interrupt you because it's so good, you should be saying no to other things. And you can like toggle that, and it's very useful to understand that. So it's so simple, just yes, maybe, or no, essentially. But you can kind of carry a default answer based on where you're at. And I think it's healthy to know that. And if I had to say where I'm at right now, I would say I'm somewhere between a hell yes or no and no. Because I'm building things that I really want to invest in. And my orientation will change over time too. But currently where I'm at, that would be the spot, I would say. Idea number 11, travel super cheap. I hope you guys are enjoying this, by the way. We're just cruising here. I don't know if I've ever recorded a video this long in my life talking into a camera, but I'm having a good time, and it's kind of cool to rehash this, and I hope it is as good for you as it is for me. So yeah, idea number 11, travel super cheap. This is, again, it comes with the radical thrift. You can expect that, but what people don't expect about the travel super cheap idea is that it's actually better to travel super cheap than it is to travel with money. Like, you can have money, but here's the thing, is that money insulates you from the environment you're traveling through. If you're on 10 or 20 bucks a day, and you can't hire a taxi, you can't take the private whatever, you can't you have to camp or knock on people's doors to find a place to stay rather than stay in a hotel room, you're going to have a completely different and a much more exposed to the environment that you are there to be in. You're traveling. You went to this place to experience it. And with money, you tend to insulate yourself from the actual experience. And so yeah, travel super cheap is not just a way to be thrifty. It's a way to experience the world. It's a adventure that invites in more risk, for sure, but also way more possibility. Like, the craziest shit can happen. Things you can't imagine what can happen if you're traveling on an extreme budget. But if you're traveling with a lot of money behind you and you're making everything comfortable and easy, it's very unlikely that something interesting is going to happen to you. It's going to be the way you expect it to be. And paradoxically, I think it's better to travel with less money than it is with more. Do I want to travel on $10 a day? Like, there's a whole comfort thing there too. But that's not the reason you're there. So travel super cheap. Idea number 12. Surface area for serendipity. This is one of my favorite ideas in the of the 17 ideas, I would say. There's an idea. There's a blog post called "Luck Surface Area" by this guy, and it inspired this idea. And he was basically saying, like, you can increase your luck surface area by kind of putting yourself in the position, like in the right spot for things, the kind of luck you want to happen to you. And let me say that a different way. You should go towards the surface area for serendipity version of it. Basically, you want to increase the odds that interesting and wonderful and good things can happen to you in the areas that you want them to happen to you. For example, I write a blog, as you probably know, and I write about what I'm interested in, things I love on that blog, and then I'm decent at search engine optimization, SEO, and I can rank those articles that I'm writing about the things I'm interested in. I can tend to rank them for Google searches on the internet. And so the people that go search for those ideas, those things, they end up running to my website and end up consequently running to me. I run a gathering called Wonder Wander once a year. I've done 7 times now. And I invite a bunch of random people to come basically have a 5 or 6 day potluck of experiences where everyone leads an experience for the group over 5 or 6 days, out among nature, away from other people and other things. And all of those things together, the search engine optimization around things I'm interested in and love, and this gathering where these people that then, bumped into those things can see the gathering and come to it, have led to just the greatest friendships in my life and the most crazy, beautiful things. And people who jive with all the things that I jive with, the people that I just wish I could find in my day-to-day life. I've been able to find them through the internet, through this method of surface area for serendipity, if you will. So the idea is that you can build that surface area for serendipity around whatever you want, whatever your interests are, whatever you're looking to do. And there's just very simple ways, if you're traveling super cheap and you go stay in a hostel, you're probably you're going to be in a bunk room, or there'll be a bunch of bunk rooms full of very adventurous, super cheap traveling people that are probably know about good things to do or are going to do good things and interesting things. And you can connect with those people at the hostel. Your surface area for serendipity is way higher at that hostel than it is in a hotel room. And all kinds of interesting things might happen. So for a traveler that's away, for a musician, it's be hanging around other musicians or other at concerts, at record stores, if they exist anymore, being around opportunity, finding ways so that, and the serendipity is not something you can plan. It's something that happens in the moment that is unexpected, and you're creating surface area for unexpected, unforeseeable good things to happen. And this is a very different mechanism than planning. You can plan for things to happen, but it's preconceived and rigid. And surface area for serendipity is more like inviting, I'll use the term, the universe in, and a universe of possibility in, that you don't have control or say of what's going to come because you don't know. And in a way, it's a I think it's kind of a wiser way than planning things, because I think that um, I think reality is stranger and more beautiful than fiction. And any plans are like shallow and unknowing and uh, not nearly as rich as reality makes it to be. And surface area for serendipity is an idea you can apply to the areas and interests in your life that you would like that universe of possibility to touch and sprinkle into. Oh, going another direction. Idea number 13. Suffering evolves us. I hesitated to put this one in here because I felt like someone would probably want to yell at me or, uh, yeah, there's a lot of pain in the world. And there's a lot of suffering. We live in a reality that suffering is inescapable, and everyone's going to do some of it to different degrees. And it sucks. Suffering hurts, and sometimes there's no way out of it. And I can caveat this in a bunch of ways, but I respect that, and I understand. And I've been there, and times more recently than maybe I had in my youth and stuff. But yeah, suffering is made to evolve us. Suffering is a spur that says not this, something else. On the simplest level, like you can imagine a bacteria in a petri dish. I did this in college biology class, and we dropped acid on the petri dish and watched under the microscope as bacteria, this little flagella. When you drop the acid in, they go, "Oh my God!" and they go, "Ah!" and they swim away from the acid, obviously because they're being burned alive in acid. And that sucks. That is suffering. And what do the bacteria do? They move away from it to somewhere else. They try somewhere else. The opposite thing if you put some, sugar or water in the petri dish and drop it there, the bacteria with the flagella will go over towards the sugar water and nourish themselves because it's good. They'll move towards it, and pain and suffering they move away from. And this is the function of so we need to suffer so that we know to move into a different configuration, into a different place. It's a spur that is made to push us out of what's not good and to move towards good on a very simple level. And it gets a lot more complex the more. And for a human being, it's very simple for a bacteria in a petri dish, but this is a very complex thing for a human being. But it's important to remember that is what's going on. We can get all tangled, and because we have intelligence, we can tie knots in our heads and know things that a bacteria isn't going to know. But ultimately, suffering is a spur that is driven this whole process of evolution and life, and the flame of life that is within me and within you and within every living thing. It has driven suffering has been the spur that has driven that along all the way to the complexity and richness of at least you could say the earth at this moment. And that's it's hard when you're suffering to be grateful for suffering, but you can be grateful for it because it's the reason we're all here on some level. It's one of the ingredients that's necessary for beauty and the rich world we live in. So suffering evolves us. It's not a very popular idea right now. Idea number 14, not a journey, but a dance. This is from Alan Watts. I'll read the quote because it's one of my favorite quotes, and quite opposite. Suffering for some juxtaposition here. Obviously, it all exists for this moment. It is a dance. And when you are dancing, you are not intent on getting somewhere. You go round and round, but not under the illusion that you are pursuing something or fleeing from the jaws of hell. How long have the planets been circling the sun? Are they getting anywhere? Do they go faster and faster in order to arrive? The meaning and purpose of dancing is the dance. Yeah. This analogy of a journey, I think is one of the more common ways we view life. That I'm here and I'm going to get there. And we tell ourselves a story in which our purpose is to get somewhere else other than where we're at. And that's it's like a little trick that cheats you out of so much richness, and that cheats us as a society and a culture out of so much richness that is always here in the moment, that can be relished and enjoyed and danced even. And yeah, so a better analogy than a journey might be a dance in which the point isn't to get to the end of the song, but to relish it. What is here right now? I'll leave it at that. Idea number 15. We're getting there. Group dreaming apes. Ooh, that's gonna be a tough one to describe. Okay. Yeah. We're having this kind of intellectual, linguistic connection right now. I'm saying words. They create meaning in your mind, in your essence, spirit, your awareness understands what I am saying. By saying these words, I can give you the idea, the concept that I have, and pass it to you. It is a remarkable thing. But it's all made up. It's all words are just, these are just sounds, like every time, every little sound I'm making, we've listened to them so many times that I can easily make them and you can easily understand them. But really, these words are, to someone who hasn't been listening to the English language for years and years on end, it's meaningless. It's gobbledygook. It's hooga booga ooga shugaluga. I don't know. And it doesn't mean anything to someone that's not like trained or taught over a long period of time how to understand the little game we've concocted in order to pass understanding and concepts and things. And group dreaming apes is the idea that the world we mostly inhabit, especially as adults, is all made up by group dreaming apes. You and me. We use words, we use contracts, we use money, we build relationships in which we expect things with each other. There's most of our world, especially I live in downtown Phoenix right now. If I walk around, it's all dreamed up, and all the relationships and the way we expect people to act and everything, the words, the language, it's all made up. And that's a deep well to go down. But the group dreaming apes is a idea that because it's all made up, it's not as solid as physics. It's not like, because someone puts a velvet rope in front of this club and says you can't come in unless this, or because this company, which is made up, says makes up a rule that says that you can't get into this company unless you have this made up requirement that we just made up. You, you according to the rules, you can't get in, but it's all a dream. And if you realize that all these things are dreamt up and we're all having a kind of collective dream together in which all this meaning and language is held, you can kind of bend it. You can pass through walls that aren't really walls, but because we're like group dreaming apes, kind of like an ant colony in some way, that you think you have to follow everything else. Like, you can kind of wake up in the dream and kind of become lucid, like lucid dreaming in a way, within culture and society, and that could become a very interesting thing. I give some examples. The one that I like the best is I was in Hong Kong in 2023 with my business partner Cole, and we we were walking around Hong Kong, and we saw the tallest building in Hong Kong. It was like, oh, it's right over there. Wow, it's so tall. Let's go look at it. Let's go. We went into the lobby, and we found out we really like saunas. We were on a trip to go see a sauna manufacturer in China, and we found out there was a sauna at the very top floor of the tallest building in Hong Kong. And Cole has this like ability to press through this group dream and kind of like he likes to push these boundaries in a way that kind of freaks me out a little bit. And we, through a variety of ways, without paying the Ritz-Carlton to sauna on the top floor of the highest building in Hong Kong, we basically walked and talked our way there over about 45 minutes, and multiple elevator shafts and security people and front desks, and found ourselves in the sauna on the top floor. And in a way, it was like to me, like a crowning achievement of the group dreaming apes thing. It was like the mission or the Matrix or something, where I'm like walking through it to sauna on the top floor of the highest building in Hong Kong, and run by the Ritz-Carlton without checking into the Ritz-Carlton or abiding by the group dream. We were still able to do it. So I think there's a sense of possibility in that that's very intoxicating, and I'll leave it at that. Idea number 16. We're bringing it home here. 2 more. Expand your worldview. This is a big one. It's as big as you can make it. We tend to, it's like, where are you right now? Like I could answer, like if you ask me, where am I right now? I might say this room. I'm in a room. I'm in my room. But I could also answer that I'm in Phoenix, or I could answer that I'm in Arizona, or the United States, or on Earth, or on a planet orbiting the sun, or the Milky Way galaxy, or in a universe filled with trillions of galaxies, each galaxy with hundreds of billions of stars swirling around a black hole. And all of those things would be true. And all those would be states in which ways in which I could frame the reality in which I currently sit. And I have come to realize that the larger your worldview is, the more expanded your worldview is, the more interesting reality is, and the less worry and anxiety you tend to have. People get hung up on that because it freaks the ego out to think that there are trillions of galaxies swirling around black holes, and you're on this little Earth, and yada yada. What does it all matter? But there's also a sense of relief in that, and that what you do isn't going to matter that much in the grand scheme of the universe. And there's also, and what it's really about, there's a lot of wonder and awe in that. And sitting here and feeling like I'm on a planet right now, making ape noises at you that you can understand and pass this concept, while knowing that there's no real up or down like on the Earth. Like I could be sitting, if the Earth was a ball, I could be on the top of the ball, I could be on the side of the ball, it could be on the bottom of the ball. Regardless, it's going to feel the same. There's no real up or down in the universe. It's all just a concept of away. And so I could sit here and feel like maybe I'm on the side of the ball and just pointing off, and I'm making these monkey language sounds to you, and I can think about the void of space out there, and the sun burning, and that we're all swirling around some giant black hole in this cosmic electric soup. And that's all going on right now. And that can be part of my experience, part of my reality, or I can be stuck in this room and very focused in on this phone and what I'm trying to say right now, and get very narrow-minded. But the idea here is to do the opposite of honing in and hone out and expand, and and expand your worldview. It's a nice one. Idea number 17, the move of the mystic. I felt a little reaching. I felt like I was reaching a bit writing that title, but it points out what I'm trying to say. Yes. So these last three ideas that were kind of set up in order here, with group dreaming, apes, expand your worldview, and then the move of the mystic. And we talked about the group dream and being lucid in it. But so I think that's kind of like and that idea of lucidity in the group dream, that comes to me from Alejandro Jodorowsky. If you want to follow that thread, read the book Psychomagic. My God. Wow. But the move of the mystic is, I think, a different reaction to understanding that we're swimming in all these concepts and language and kind of symbolic consciousness that I'm speaking and you're understanding and everything, and that and the mystic is wondering what's under that. What if you took that away? What if you took away all the symbology that we inhabit? What's below it? What's the bedrock of reality? And to even begin to know, I don't think 10 years ago I could even begin to think about how to answer that question. But there are ways, and they're very hard to say in words, because words are the symbolic, representational, conceptual reality we group dream together. But there's something below it, and that's what's below it is, to me, it seems to me what spirituality is. It's a deep, deep well. Things like oneness, silence, stillness, eternity. That's what resides below the group dream and my little idea framework here. And the move of the mystic is to go down and swim in those depths. And the idea here is to just simply know that the orientation of that and that it's there. And I know it's there. And in one page, I don't think I can get you much further than that. So yeah, brings us to the conclusion of the book, crafting your lens on life. Basically realizing that your lens, or as we talked about at the beginning with the Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance quote, grabbing a handful of sand and calling it the universe. The handful of sand you grab, you can grab another handful of sand. It takes time and habitually working on yourself and your ideas and habits and things, but you can change the handful of sand you grab and have a completely different experience of this same thing, because reality is so rich and there's so many details and we can only consciously pick up on a few at a time. So the idea of crafting your lens on life is that you can sort of become your own optician and work on your lens so that you see and experience the richest things, the best things, rather than nonsense, rather than worry and anxiety, rather than getting caught up in bullshit. You can craft your lens on life. You can kind of clear some of that out of your lens on life, and you probably, you probably can't get it all out either. But we have an agency. I really there's the argument of free will or not free will, but you definitely, with this idea in mind, now that, it's like if this idea has hit you that you can become your own optician, it wasn't you who had the free will to get it. But now that this idea that you can be your own optician has hit you, you now have the ability to influence how you see and what you see. And with that ability and agency, you can craft your own lens on life. So, the lens is a very root thing to your experience. What you're looking out of is going to change how you perceive everything. Everything that comes into you goes through your lens, and it's a very foundational piece and level to work at to improve your experience. Improve your experience of reality. And to make it richer and better, and cleaning your lens off too from, all sorts of things, advertising, bad ideas, tyranny. I don't know. You have the ability to craft your lens in life. And that was the idea I most hoped to convey with this little philosophical coffee table book. So yeah, that brings us to the end. 17 ideas that changed my life. You can download it for free on my website. If you just go to ethanmaurice.com, you'll find it right there. You can also buy this hard copy edition. I think it's $25. And it's pretty cool. I like leaving, I actually leave it out, and put like certain idea that I want to encounter again and again. I leave that idea out. Works best for me in the back, in the back of the book. Like, I think my being in downtown Phoenix, one of my favorite ones to leave out has been group dreaming apes, and just having this photo and quote sitting here to remind me day after day of this idea and work it and craft it into my lens on life. Maybe I'll end with a quote here for group dreaming apes, because it's a beautiful one from Alejandro Jodorowsky in his book Psycho Magic. Dreaming thus taught me, paradoxically, to wake up and maintain a lucid current as a thread of existence. even if this requires a major effort, because God knows how marvelous life can be when one is, above all, open to its magic.